Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I'm Skippy and welcome to another video. Okay, so this video isn't the full fuselage build that I'd hoped to be doing, which is over 4 weeks now. For that I apologise, but I don't know if you guys ever find that when you're building something and you just get to a point where you just don't know how to achieve what it is you're trying to do, you kind of lose a little bit of hope, faith, I don't know. So I kind of, with this model, I found it quite challenging trying to work out how to fit the battery into the front of the fuselage, because obviously we need to use the 2S, and having the experience of the DR1, which you can see behind, if you don't get that centre of gravity right all the way to the front, it can be quite tricky and it may not fly. Now these airplanes, this model flies really nicely, it's just rubber pad, and other people have built them and flown them, but I've never actually been able to work out where or how they've installed the battery. So the other day, in fact no, this morning, I was jet washing the patio, thinking about the video, and I realised I haven't done anything for a while. It got me thinking about how else could I do the battery. So I came up with the idea that I've got here. So the battery fits nicely underneath. So what I'll do some photos of how I created that battery hatch, and I'll do those after the build to get to the fuselage where it is now. I don't know if you noticed in that last photo, but when I put the centre spar there in, where B2 and B4 go, it was raised. So what I've done is I've cut them out, and what I'm going to do is thin or sand this lip here so that it all fits neatly and level. So that's pretty level. I probably need to do a little bit of sanding on that centre one there on B3 just to make it in line, and then probably try out. So the good thing is I haven't glued it in place yet. So top tip, just worth checking when you position it before you glue it in place, make sure that they're all level. As with the port side, I've glued in the formers on the starboard just to give it a little bit of shape. I start from the rear, work my way down, pushing it into place to the front of the model. Then I've glued it in place with CA glue. Now I'm going to fit in B2, 3 and 4 and adjust them as necessary so that it keeps that centre spar nice and level. You can see that one's a bit off centre. Hopefully that won't make any difference, but I'll get this next one nice and level. Well, the starboard side formers went in a lot neater there. Very little adjustment necessary at all, so now it's looking more level, which is good. When I stand it up on the front former, just turn it around, turn it around like that, you can see it's pretty vertical, pretty level, so not too bad, so a good start. Now what I need to work out is where the electrics are going to go, how I'm going to run the push rods from the servo to the rudder and the elevators, and I think I'm going to have to be doing quite a bit of cutting out there or just drilling holes to push the wire through. So I should be doing that bit next before I start putting the stringers on, because obviously once stringers on you're very limited in space, but so far so good. This line shows the position of BB, which is the dashboard right in the cockpit. Centre of gravity is just forward of B3, so just forward of here. So I want to try and make sure that the receiver and battery are well in front of B3 here. The receiver will fit nicely in here in the cockpit area. The motor will obviously be here, and then the battery needs to go in there somewhere. Obviously looking at the plan, I can't do my usual battery hatch because normally I'd just have that piece that lifts off. So I'm not quite sure how I'm going to do it. I might have to do it such that I either have a battery hatch that goes on the side of the fuselage and make a hatch and a door there, or see if the battery and motor will fit in the cowling, but I think that might be a bit tight. The other option is to see if I can actually make a removable cowling and then the battery slides in the front. So a bit of experimentation time. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to lightly sand the back of the cowling, the plastic cowling, to thin the plastic. Then I'll cut it out, and then I'll have a good idea of where the motor is going to sit, how much of a motor mount I'm going to need to make to put on the front of this model. Okay, so building the battery hatch. What I did first, obviously, is try, and I'll show the pictures, cut out the frame, the template for the front and rear section of the battery hatch. I removed the front spar. By doing that, I needed to strengthen it. So I put in 2 cross braces and then put in a flat piece which will act as the top of the battery hatch. I'll need to cut a hole in that for the wire to go through or come through from the motor in the ESC, so that all connects up. Then using some non-stick paper, glued the stringers in place over the battery hatch just to keep it in place. Added a couple of extra stringers so that give it a little bit of strength, and then trying to work out how I was going to secure it. Excuse me. Trying to work out how I was going to secure it. Magnets wouldn't work because it would just drop out. It's quite a snug fit, and actually I realised that when I looked at where the stringers were from the side of the fuselage, I could actually slide a cocktail stick through. So it's not the prettiest solution, but actually it's probably going to be more reliable than using a pin or a magnet like I did before, because it's a physical locking piece of wood through that battery hatch. I probably will paint the cocktail stick silver so that when it actually goes in the model it doesn't stand out as much. But as you can see, it seems to have worked quite nicely. And with the battery hatch installed, give it a shake and it's not shifted at all. The only obviously issue I have with this is I'll be limited to this size battery. I won't be able to use the thinner, longer batteries in this model, but I think I've got 2 or 3 of these, so hopefully she'll fly successfully. Anyway, there you go. Sorry, this has been a long-awaited video. It's not the full fuselage build, but I was just trying to solve the battery hatch issue. Now that I've done that, I feel confident I can go ahead and do a little bit more. One of the things I'll be doing, because as you can see from the centre of gravity line, the battery's only just forward of it. So I'm going to try and thin out the wood in this formers here, make those holes bigger. That will also then make it easier for the push rods to go through. So thanks for watching. If you haven't already, please subscribe. I will get on top of this aeroplane again and we will finish it.